right now on 5 on your side at 10.
We were above average today by a little bit. Still very pleasant for this time of the year, but nothing in comparison to what we're seeing the next couple of days. What 30 degrees above average means for us and how long we can hold on to it.
A funding freeze causes festival furloughs.
Why so much was invested into the Festival of Nations is to prevent what's happening right now.
How a Trump freeze is putting a St. Louis tradition on hold. But first,
before now, really, I think thought it was sort of unthinkable. It was just something that we never contemplated could happen.
More than half a dozen people confirmed dead after a fiery Philadelphia plane crash.
It's just an absolute tragedy for us to be in this situation today of facing this reality.
Why that death toll could go up, and experts say this week's tragedy will be studied for decades. Well, good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sydney Stallworth. Starting off with national news this morning, investigators continue to search for answers tonight after the horrific air ambulance crash in Philadelphia. 19 people are hurt and 7 are dead, but that number could rise. Here's NBC's Emily Ikeda. Well, we're going to get to that package in just a little bit, but first we want to talk about how this is affecting us locally. Now, between the D.C. tragedy claiming the lives of 67 people and last night's deadly Philadelphia crash that we'll tell you more about later on, aviation experts are calling these some of the most tragic few days that we've seen in the last 15 years. Annie Crawl joins us now live. She spoke with both folks in Philadelphia at the heart-wrenching scene and instructors close to home who tell us, Annie, this week will forever change flight lessons in history, right?
That's right, Sid. Authorities say it was less than a minute after the small jet took off in Philadelphia on its way to Springfield Branson National Airport that it horrifically crashed. Not long after, Shriners Children's learned one of their young patients and her mother were on board, now at the site of the catastrophe in Pennsylvania. I got to speak with one of the International Hospital System's leaders about the wreck.
The streets of Philadelphia were on fire around 6 p.m. Friday as a jet rescue air ambulance plummeted from the sky. Shriners Children's Chief Communication and Marketing Officer Mel Bauer says these medical transports are quite common. It should have been routine to take a little girl home after providing what Bauer says was life-saving treatment not available for her in Mexico.
We have a lot of international outreach. We take care of children from over 170 countries. And so frequently that involves a medical transport of some kind. Before now, really, I think thought it was sort of unthinkable. It was just something that we never contemplated could happen. And so it's just an absolute tragedy for us.
Bauer says the little girl, whose name hasn't been released, was a Shriners patient for about 4 months. Due to privacy laws, he can't tell us her age or what she was getting treated for, but emphasized how deeply the halls of Shriners in Philadelphia have been shaken by losing her.
She left an impact not just on her care providers, her doctors and therapists and nurses, but even those that are members of our staff that got to know her in the months that she was here, and her mother are just very deeply affected by such a tragedy.
Trying to also put the Philadelphia pieces together are local aviation experts like flight instructor at SLU's Parks Department of Aviation Science, David Shalinsky.
It is a turbine aircraft, so usually you'll have very qualified pilots that will have had a type rating, which is the highest level of FAA certificate that they could have received flying that plane.
Experts say it's too early to know what may have caused the plane to go down en route to Missouri for a fuel stop, but the investigation is underway.
I think it's important to understand that we are going to be studying these accidents for decades.
And as of today, Philadelphia's city managing director said it could take days or longer until there's a final count on the number of people killed or hurt across the massive 4 to 6 block impact area in such a densely populated residential area. Sydney?
All right. Thank you so much for that report, Annie. Let's get to NBC's Emily Ikeda with the very latest from Philadelphia.
Tonight, investigators on the ground of a deadly plane crash in northeast Philadelphia that led to this massive fireball and shower of embers.
Oh my God.
You can see the plane plunging straight down before the explosion sent people running.
It sounded like it's getting closer, then it just was like, yeah, then I had to get low a little bit and it hit the street right in front of me.
Andre Gary had been walking in the area and captured the hellscape that ensued shortly after 6 p.m. Friday. Scattered fires burning through homes and cars.
What a terrifying moment.
I thought the world was ending.
Officials say the 6 people on the medical transport plane died, including 2 crew members, 2 medical professionals, and a mother and daughter, all from Mexico. The family confirming Josue Juarez was the co-pilot. 1 person on the ground in a car was also killed and 19 others injured.
This is not etched in stone. The investigation is ongoing.
The NTSB, who is leading that investigation, calling the crash an accident.
A slight right turn followed by a slight left turn and then a steep descent towards the ground.
Today, a look at the force of the impact and the far-reaching debris field.
I'm thinking first shooting.
A half-mile away, the manager of a diner says this piece of the plane flew through the window, injuring a customer.
How are you feeling in that moment?
Because I'm scared. I don't know what do you want to do. I tried to call the 911 and 911 no answer.
Operated by Jet Rescue Air Ambulance, the plane was set to fly to Missouri and then Mexico, carrying a young patient who was in the U.S. for a life-saving treatment, according to the company. Just after taking off, the pilot of the Learjet 55 responded to air traffic control.
123.8, Mike Tango Sierra 056 medevac. Thank you. Good day.
But then communications from the crew went quiet.
Medevac Med Service 056 Northeast Tower, you on frequency?
Officials say the plane was only in the air for a minute before it crashed into a busy roadway at rush hour. A multi-agency response swarming the scene.
Thanks to their speedy work last night, they were able to get the fire out, and I believe they were able to save others in the process.
It is 10:06. Just hours ago, a woman was shot and killed. And right now, St. Louis Metro Police are trying to find out what led up to this shooting. It happened on South Vanderbilt at around 5 o'clock this evening. Our 5 on Your Side crew was there as police gathered at a nearby Quick Trip where a white Ford sedan was surrounded by crime scene tape. 5 on Your Side did reach out to QT, by the way. One spokesperson tells us the shooting did not happen at the gas station. They say the woman pulled into the location to find help and that she's not a Quick Trip employee. The company says it's working with police during this investigation. Now, if you're watching this evening and you have any information, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers. That number's on your screen. It's 866-371-TIPS. Tonight, an 18-year-old is behind bars accused of killing a woman in East St. Louis. Police say the killing happened here off 6th Street on December 22nd last year. That's where they found 21-year-old Markayla Howlett suffering from a gunshot wound. She later died. A suspect, Ricky Clayton of O'Fallon, Illinois, was arrested today. He's facing charges for first-degree murder. His next court date hasn't been set just yet. Today, hundreds of people took to downtown streets protesting the Trump administration's immigration policies. Demonstrators went down Market Street carrying signs that criticize the president's executive orders. All of this comes as protests break out in other states across our country like Iowa, Georgia, and Ohio. The Festival of Nations is in limbo this evening as staff members face furloughs at the International Institute of St. Louis. And this is coming as President Trump halts federal funding for immigration programs across the country. 5 on Your Side did reach out to the International Institute about this setback. And a spokesperson did respond saying that about 60% of their staff members across the state are furloughed. And while the International Institute says it'll stay open to serve clients, how they're delivering that service will soon change.
Hundreds and thousands of refugee families who could have been given the chance to start a brand new life are now at a halt. We must, as St. Louis City, come together more than ever before and pull out from our resources.
Now, it's not clear right now if the Festival of Nations will still happen. By the way, it's the nation's largest multicultural festival of its kind, and it's been a St. Louis tradition for over 100 years. Coming up, tariff troubles.
A small business is not gonna work.
How international tariffs are hitting local businesses hard. And tearful reunions, the latest hostages to come home as the Israel-Hamas ceasefire crawls closer to its next big negotiations.
We've noticed the days are starting to get longer as our sunset times get later and later. Starting to feel like spring in the next couple of days will feel like spring, if that's a sign of things to come in February and when the cold air may return.
Welcome back. It is 10:12. New tonight, Mexico is firing back just hours after President Donald Trump signed an executive order today imposing 25% tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada and a 10% tariff on goods from China. Trump says his tariffs are meant to force the three countries to do more to stop the flow of fentanyl into the United States. Meanwhile, Mexico's president has ordered tariffs in return on goods coming from the U.S., and Canada's prime minister plans to do the same. Now, many economists are afraid that tariffs will drive up prices nationwide on everything from cars to beer. It's a move some St. Louis businesses have been bracing for.
We don't make that much money here, and then if we start paying more for produce, it's not gonna work. Like, it's all family here. We are family-owned restaurants, so it's definitely not gonna work.
Now, the owners of two South City restaurants are now saying the tariffs will hit their businesses hard. One of their main concerns is the price of produce. The owner of Taqueria El Bronco, Jose Flores, says that his business stays true to its roots, importing up to 60% of the restaurant's needs. Manny Garcia, who runs La Maganita just down the street, says that the looming extra expenses will be hard on his business.
Yeah, especially the products. I don't know if we want to be available to keep doing our authentic Mexican food with Mexican items. There's going to be a big problem. Like, it's all family here. We are family-owned restaurants, so it's definitely not going to work.
It's alive, with nothing we can change. It's whatever it is.
President Trump continues to demand the Federal Reserve to drop interest rates, but economists say there's nothing compelling the Fed to do that yet, since the labor market is still sturdy and consumers are still spending. Today, Hamas released 3 hostages held in Gaza, including one Israeli-American father. That brings the total number of hostages freed so far to 18. In exchange for today's hostages, Israel released 183 Palestinian prisoners and detainees. This comes as buses carrying sick and wounded Palestinians prepared to cross into Egypt. Most of the 50 evacuees were children. Tuesday, negotiations to get back the rest of the hostages and discussions on the withdrawal of Israeli troops are set to start.
Pretty nice day overall today, and even as it's getting cooler outside right now, clouds are starting to settle in. What that means for our temperatures overnight in comparison to this morning, and when we're going to see near record highs on the way.
Welcome back at 10:17. We're following breaking news this evening. One person is dead after being hit by a train in South St. Louis less than 2 hours ago. Our newsroom has learned St. Louis Fire Department responded to the call at around 8:30 p.m. They say that person was walking near Michigan Avenue and West Popping Street in the Patch neighborhood. Well, the St. Louis African American Aldermanic Caucus raised the African American Heritage flag, honoring the first day of Black History Month. This happened right outside of City Hall at 10 a.m. St. Louis is one of only 2 major cities in North America that raised this flag. The other is Toronto, Canada. St. Louis is the first to raise it nearly 10 years ago. The red, black, and green flag will be displayed inside and outside City Hall throughout the month of February. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at conditions outside. It feels pretty good if you've gone out for an evening walk, and it sounds like we're in for even better weather. Let's get on over to our Gary Frank for our weather first forecast. Hey, Gary.
Yeah, good evening, Sydney. As we continue to look at our advanced impacts the next 10 days, near record highs. And, we're feeling some of the warmer air that's settling back in, but thunderstorms by Wednesday, believe it or not, that's the time that we're transitioning into. But don't get used to this, what I'm about to show you, because it will change a lot here over the next few days. Let's look outside right now. As you see, clouds continue to increase. That's where we were through most of the day. Those clouds increasing is actually not a bad thing. It's going to add a little bit of an insulated layer, so we're not going to fall into the 20s like we did last night. We're in the low 40s still. That south breeze has picked up, and it's not incredibly aggressive right now, but you'll notice that our temps are probably not going to change a whole lot, even as I scan through this by 4 or 5 in the morning. And then once we get through tomorrow morning, morning, as the sun rises, you will see the sun, and it's going to help warm us up. Otherwise, we're in the upper 30s and low 40s with that breeze picking up. I think gusts of 25 miles an hour. This is not a night that if you're a light sleeper, I'm expecting you to hear these wind gusts outside, but I'll just prepare you for it here. As I mentioned, those temperatures in the 40s here. Big picture shows, even at this hour, look at this warmth off to our southwest. That's the bulk of what's going to be with us through Monday at the very least. And when I show you this map and where that wind is coming from, watch out of the south and southwest tomorrow. That's where we're going to start to transport that warm air. We'll feel that tomorrow as temperatures work their way back up into the mid-60s here with a southwest breeze at 10 to 15 miles an hour. Like I said, starting off more cloudy by mid-morning. That's when the sun comes out. That's when the warming begins. Now, it's still not a record as a 67-degree forecast, but it's a top 5 warm day. That goes for Monday as well. And as we show you this map with a lot of colors, from warm tones to cooler tones, what you'll notice is everything is moving from west to east. That's a pretty standard pattern. We don't see any surges of cold air. We don't see any highs that really settle in. No big changes for us. And there will be disturbances that move in, but there's no big change. But you'll notice, though, Monday and Tuesday, this warmer air really settles in. And what that correlates to in terms of temperatures, watch this by Monday night. 50s here, colder air behind it. But watch how it kind of sits here and works its way back to the north. That's where I think we'll see our next chance for thunderstorms. And there will be some cold air behind it, but watch how we get back up in the 60s. There are going to be some pretty good spreads from Wednesday and Thursday from north to south, so keep that in mind. But if you look on our streaming 5+ app for our 10-day forecast, there are some colder days on the other 3. But let's just first show you the 7-day forecast here, because we've got temperatures that are at 67, 72, and then 49. So it drops back down, but it's still not all that bad. And I do think that we'll see plenty of warm days the next 7. I'm just not sold on the fact that this is the pattern we're settling into for the rest of 2025. Next week, a little different. Enjoy it while we feel it tomorrow.
I don't think I can get past that 72 on Monday.
Pretty nice.
See some golf in the future.
Yeah.
All right, for the two of you, I'm sure. Corey, what's coming up in sports?
Well, we had a pair of impressive performances from some of our college basketball stars. We'll hear from a City SC standout who has worked his way back to action, and why Cardinals broadcast may sound a bit different this year. That's all up next in sports.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by Onder Law Injury Attorneys.
Brings me great joy. I want everybody to make a noise for our head coach and CEO, Dennis Ray Gates, for his 100th win.
It's a pretty good day to be Dennis Gates. You just won your 100th career game as head coach. Your team is posing like this after yet another victory over a ranked opponent. And oh yeah, you just happen to have the hottest shooter in college basketball on your team. And Caleb Grill was on another heater today. Grill has been a man on a mission for Dennis Gates lately. Today he poured in 20 points off the bench, including 6 makes from beyond the arc. And a number of these were from well beyond the arc. That's almost a half court right there. The Tigers as a team made 15 threes as they clobbered number 14 Mississippi State 88-61 to improve to 6-2 in the SEC. Right now, Grill has the second highest three-point percentage in the entire country and a constant green light from his coach.
It's something that we've seen already in practice. That's why he always has the opportunity to shoot it. I want these guys to play with confidence, and that's what he was doing, just playing with confidence, and his team rewarded him with open shots.
That was the best basketball we can play, is just how we were able to move the ball and make shots, and we were getting open looks from everybody, and everybody stepped up and played well tonight. So that was one of the most fun games I've played in my college career.
Here are some ranks for Rayshon Taylor in the OVC. First in scoring, first in free throw percentage, 6th in assists, 3rd in steals, 4th in three-point percentage. In short, he's been amazing. And the Collinsville kid was great today for SIUE against Western Illinois. Look at some of these plays that were part of Taylor's team-high 23 points for the Cougs. The biggest play of this game actually came off a Taylor miss, though. Kyle Thomas cleans up that with a dunk to give SIUE a late lead. They would hang on for the 69-65 victory. High school hoops, huge girls game at U City, 2 of the best programs around. Incarnate Word against Alton. High-level basketball in this one. Jairus Powers finished inside for Alton. Then it's an offensive rebound, eventually leading to an Addie Owen triple the other way for Incarnate. Alton's Kyoko Proctor's turn. She flies through the lane, hits a nice runner there. Then it's Incarnate's Peyton Hill finishing the fast break, going the other way. Good battle, but Incarnate wins 60-48. Now the boys, Belleville West had a surging team from Columbia. Eagle star Sam Donald can score from pretty much anywhere. He opts for the mid-range jumper on that one. How about this tough finish coming up from West, Jaden Lloyd? Nice layup right there. Ford can play from deep too. Buries this three at the top of the key for Belleville West. But those Eagles keep on rolling. Micah James gets a loose ball. He's going to finish off that fast break. Columbia wins 59-47, is their 9th win in a row and 20th win of the season.
This 5 on Your Side St. Louis City SC coverage is sponsored by Together Credit Union.
Ready or not, the soccer season will be here in just 22 days. City SC takes the pitch with something to prove in 2025 after missing the playoffs in the club's second season. They will have a full stable of weapons at their disposal. Celio Pompeo was having a breakout season last year before a devastating leg and ankle injury that sidelined him for 8 months. Now he's back in the fold and ready to pick up where he left off. Pompeo said his positivity helped get him through his injury, and now he has just one thing on his mind.
We have to make it to the playoffs. That's my mentality, and I think most of the guys too, the whole team wants, so definitely hungry. That's for me, especially because I was out for 8 months, so I'm hungry. I can't wait to step in the field again and Energizer Park in front of the fans, hear they scream. So that's like before I sleep, I dream of this moment.
Cardinals broadcasting note tonight. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch was the first to report that Cardinals Hall of Famer Jim Edmonds will not return to FanDuel Sports Network broadcast for the upcoming season. The former center fielder had appeared as an analyst in the booth and in the studio since 2013. And that will do it for sports.
All right, and that'll do it for us for 5 on Your Side at 10. Remember, wake up with Today in St. Louis tomorrow morning at 6. But first, Saturday Night Live is up next. Have a great night, everyone.